Okay, we're taking a look at a game from preptest 53, I think it was the third game, where we have suspects, STV, WXY, and Z. We have days 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have whether they confess or not. It's a classic hybrid game where we're going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 across the top up there. And then we need to break the side down into either yes or no, or suspects or confession. In this case, suspects or confession are more concrete, because if we ask ourselves, will there be a suspect on day 1? Will he confess? Will there be a suspect on day 2? Will he confess or not? All of these we can answer yes for. If we put yes or no, we wouldn't have anything necessarily to put into those blanks. So for instance, even checking our concrete rules, Rule 1 says T goes third. I can put T right into the sketch. And that the person who goes on day 4 does not confess, I can put a no right there. So we already have some concrete stuff into the sketch. That takes care of rules 1 and 2. But after that, we're left with our deductions. And even though this game has been on the test many times, this is probably the most complex version of this game. We do have some significant interactions with our rules. For instance, Rule 1 mentions T, but then Rule 6 mentions that nobody confesses after T. Or rather, there's exactly 2 confessions after T. So if we know there's exactly 2 confessions after T, notice slot 4 is already not a confession. That means between 5, 6, and 7, 2 of these have to be confessions. That we're going to have 2 confessions here in 5, 6, or 7, and we're going to have 1 non-confession. Says exactly 2 confessions. There have to be 2 in 5, 6, or 7. But notice you also have the rule that says nobody confesses after W. Now, if nobody confesses after W, but exactly 2 confess after T, ask yourself this. Could W be coming before T? For instance, and I'll do it like this. If I put W here, and I'm not going to put W here, but if I just, for instance, put W there in slot 2, and no one confesses after W, well, I know there are 2 confessions after T, that they're going to be confessions here maybe, here maybe. Nobody confesses after W, 2 confess after T. This doesn't make any sense. We know that W is going to have to be someplace after T. Now, how far after T? We don't know yet. But we know that W has to be far enough after T that we can still get 2 confessions after T and get no confessions after W. Now, the only thing you do know comes after W is S. So, think about it like this. Let's say I put W in slot 5. And then I know I need to have 2 confessions after T. The earliest I could get those 2 confessions would be here. Now I already have a confession after W. Nobody confesses after W. That's what Rule 5 says. No confessions after W. Which means W can't go in slot 5. And W also can't go in slot 7 because S comes after W. Meaning, by default, and it's fine to experiment on test day, although if you can put all these pieces together yourself, that's even better. W must go in slot 6. That S, therefore, has to go in 7 because W comes before S. That you're going to have 2 confessions coming after T. That you're going to have no confessions coming after W. And notice, even though it said no confessions after W, it didn't say that W couldn't confess. Here we have W confessing, no confessions after W, exactly 2 confessions after T. There's our 2 Ys. This is working out. This is checking out just fine. And the sketch has begun to fill in. Now, we've already incorporated Rules 3, we've already incorporated Rule 5, we've already incorporated Rule 6. The only rule you really have left over is this rule about Z, X, and V. And you should also, by the way, go back and check who your floater was in this game. You have rules about S, and T, and V, and W, and X. And you have no rules about Y. Y, it turns out, is your floater in this game. Y could go in any of these slots. And if you wanted to, you can make a note that Y can go in any of the remaining slots, because not everybody else can go in all the remaining slots. Z, for instance, needs at least X and V coming after it, which means Z is boxed out at 4 or 5. Z can only go 1 or 2. Why not get it in there? And because X and V have to have Z coming before it, well, X and V can't go in slot 1, but X and V could go in 2 or 4 or 5. And then we have all of our possibilities in, and this game is done. If you go to the questions at this point, everything should develop well. And this is what your final sketch should probably look like. Alright, hope that helped.